Now, DNA by itself is rather fragile. Just above, we talked about how DNA is just made up of ribose phosphate backbone plus the bases that form the rungs in this twisted ladder, the double helix. If you just had that in a cell and you had that DNA going through all of that cell division, first of all, it's really long, spaghetti-like, extremely long, thin strands. And any movement could easily break them. But remember, what we're trying to do with mitosis, with cell division, is to have an exact copy of the original cell, of the hereditary material in the original cell, being transferred to the two new daughter or sister cells, whatever you want to call them. And if you had these long, fragile strands of DNA, they could easily be broken. So what organisms do is, instead of having these long strands of DNA, is have the DNA condense and pack tightly together into chromosomes. And these chromosomes are more robust then. They're tightly coiled units that can more easily move during cell division. So the whole point of one of the main points of the chromosome is to take something that's very fine strand and package it in a way that it's more robust and can manage some movement within the cell. So how does that happen? Well, I alluded to it right at the top where I mentioned that a chromosome is DNA that's wrapped around proteins. So here's that part. The first step in this is where the DNA strand wraps around some proteins called histone proteins, and what it's wrapping around, this complex of protein, is called a nucleosome. So the first stage in the condensation of DNA into a chromosome is that the DNA wraps around a nucleosome. Now, if you can imagine what this might look like under a microscope, you have this long, thin strand of DNA, and suddenly it connects to this glob of protein. So it almost looks like beads on a string of DNA. And that's exactly how it was described by early microscopists who were taking a look at DNA. It looked like beads on a string. The beads are the nucleosomes, the proteins. And the string is what's called the linker DNA. It's the DNA between nucleosomes, the very thin strand. And actually that DNA wraps right around the nucleosome.